It's Gina from Crochet, and today I have made a tutorial to make a market bag. You can make a small one or you can make a really big one, and it depends. Okay, so I have made the tutorial to make one this big. However, if you don't want it this big, you just need to do less rounds at the start. Okay, so when I say, you know, do 7 doubles and then an increase, 7 doubles, if that's too big you can just stop whenever. So on this one I actually only did 5 doubles and then an increase, whereas this one I did 8 doubles and then an increase. And you might not understand this now, but as the video goes on I'm hoping you will. But I've made one with a over the shoulder strap, and I've made one just with like a handheld. So yeah, you can decide which one you want to make, but let's start. So to start with, what we need to do is make a magic ring. Now to make a magic ring, you lay the yarn over your fingers like this, wrap it round, turn your hand over, make a cross, hold it there. Then we get our hook, we go under this bit, over this bit, we pull it through, give it a twist, and then you wrap and pull it through. That is your magic ring, also known as an adjustable ring. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. So remember, to chain 3 we wrap and pull, wrap and pull, wrap and pull. Now this is going to class as our first double crochet, and what we need to do is 11 more. So we're going to wrap the yarn around our hook, we're going to go through the center of the hole, we're going to wrap and pull, then we're going to wrap, pull through 2 loops, wrap, pull through 2 loops. So wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. Going to wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to do 4 more. So we're going to wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. So now we've got 12. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull on this tail from the magic ring just to tighten the hole in the middle, and then we are going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2. Just going to into there, and we're going to wrap and pull, and then you're going to pull this one through this one like so. Then we are going to chain 3. So we're going to wrap and pull, wrap and pull, wrap and pull. So what we're going to do is a double into the next stitch, and then in every single stitch we're going to do an increase, which is 2 doubles in every single one. Okay, so we've got increase, and an increase, and another increase, and another increase. Sorry, I'm going a bit fast, let me slow down. And another increase. Basically we've got an increase in every single stitch around, except the first one, because where you do the chain it doesn't look like a stitch and you end up with more stitches. And an increase, and then I'm just going to have a count to see how many I've got. We should end up with 24, so, and then our 23rd and our 24th will go in that one. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain again. So to slip stitch, you just poke, yarn over, pull this one through this one, like so. Now what I'm going to suggest we do here is slip stitch into that stitch. There we go. Right, and now we're on the third round, and what we're going to do is chain 3, then we're going to do an increase into the next stitch. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and increase into the next stitch. Remember, that's 2 doubles in the same stitch. And then the pattern is a double followed by an increase, a double followed by an increase. Okay, so we're on double followed by an increase. 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 A double followed by an increase. 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 There we go. Right, now what we're going to do, same as on every round, we're going to slip stitch into this chain here. So third chain. Right, so here, look, you can see I've got a loop followed by a loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go under this second loop and just slip stitch, just because it looks better if we do it like that. Remember, a chain is a wrap and pull. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, which is this one. And that is going to be followed by an increase. So remember, an increase is 2 doubles in the same stitch. And now the pattern for this is a double, and increase. Double, double, increase all the way around. Okay, so double, double, increase. Double, double, increase. Double, double, increase. Right, now you've got the idea. I'm going to stop recording after the next repeat until I get to the end. Okay, so double, double, increase, and I will meet you at the end of this round. and I am just on my final increase of this round. Now where it looks like you've got an extra stitch, you could either do your increase and do another one in there, or you could just put your next double in here to stop it having a hole. That's what I quite often do. It's still like an increase because it's still 2 stitches, but I've spread it so that there's not going to be such a hole. And then you're going to slip stitch into the top of this chain. Now remember, a slip stitch is a poke, a wrap, a pull, and this one goes through this one. I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm going to slip stitch into this space here. There we go. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 2 doubles and then an increase. So we've got 1, 2, and then your increase. So the repeat for this round is 3 doubles, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to do 3 doubles and then the increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then the increase. One, 2, 3, and then the increase. One, 2, 3, and then the increase. And I will meet you when we get to the end. So it's just 3 doubles and then the increase on this round, okay? 3, and then we've got our final increase. And I am actually going to do this as an increase because the hole there is not too big. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain. So to slip stitch, remember, poke, wrap, pull this one through this one. And then I'm going to go into this bit here again and slip stitch again. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 3 doubles and then an increase, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. So now the pattern on this round is 1, 2, 3, 4 doubles and then an increase, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the increase. One, 2, 3, 4, and then the increase. And that's the same pattern all the way around, okay? So we do 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the increase. And I will see you when we get near to the end of the round. 4, and the increase. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain again. And then I'm going to just go into that, slip stitch into that again so that we've got the double bit. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, come on, 1, 2, 3. Then we are going to do 4 doubles, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to do our increase. So here you'll see we've got 1, because we count this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 increase. So all the way around we're going to do 5 doubles and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. Five and an increase. I think you've probably guessed what's going to come next. Then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain, just there, and I'm going to actually that looks okay, so I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, then we are going to do 5 doubles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we're going to do our increase, and then we're going to, let's have a look. So this time we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and then an increase. So we're going to do 6 and an increase all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my 6 doubles, and then I'm going to do my increase. And then we're going to do 6 doubles and then increase again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then my increase. And I will meet you when we get to near the end of this round, okay? And my increase. 6 and an increase, and then we are going to slip stitch into this chain here, do I have enough for another round? That's the question. We're going to go for it. I don't think I do, but I will join. Right, so now what I need to do is chain 3 again. And actually before I do that I'm going to slip stitch because it looks neater. Can you see I've got like a stitch which is sort of like here, but I've also got a little bit here, so if I go under that bit of stitch it'll look a lot nicer. So we can slip stitch into there, that looks better. And then we're going to chain 3, and this time we are going to do 6 doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's 6 doubles, and then we're going to do our increase. Remember, an increase is just 2 in the same one. Now if we hold this out again with the chain, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doubles and then an increase. So all the way around we're going to do 7 doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we've got our increase, and we're going to do that all the way around. So I will meet you when we get near to the end. Now just quickly, I'm actually running out of yarn, so what I'm going to do, and this is my cheat way, I'm not even going to lie, this is my cheat way, I'm going to tie 2 pieces together and then crochet over the ends, because it'll be barely noticeable. Okay, so I'm going to just show you what I'm doing. Tie the knot just like that, and then I'm currently on my 7 doubles, so 1, 2, hold this bit over here, flip that bit over there. So what's that, 2, and then we've got 3. Hold these bits over here and you can crochet over and it'll be less noticeable. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and then we've got our increase, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain like that. I'm going to slip stitch in, oh sorry, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch just to make it look neater. Right, now this is the last round like this, okay, and then we're going to start going up the sides. So we need to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we need to do 7 doubles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we're going to do our increase. And then what you will notice is, including the chain at the start, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and an increase. So all the way around we're going to do 8 and then an increase. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the increase. And we're going to do that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get round to this side again. 8, and our increase in there, so that's 9, 10. And then what we're going to do is slip stitch into the top of the chain. What we're going to do is chain 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch like that. Oops, come on. And this becomes your first V stitch, okay? Then you're going to skip 1, and then you're going to do a double into the next stitch. And then you are going to chain 2, and then you're going to do a double into the same stitch. This is called a V stitch, okay? So then you've got another V stitch. And then you're going to skip 1, and you're going to do a double, a chain 2, and then another double into the same stitch. So now you can see you've got 3 V stitches there. So then you just keep repeating that, okay? So skip 1, and then a double, a chain 2, and a double into the same stitch. Oops. And then skip 1, a double, and a chain 2, and another double into the same stitch. And then you skip 2 and you do a double, a chain 2, and another double into the next stitch, into the same stitch, sorry, and then you skip one and you do a double, a chain 2 and another double into the same stitch, and then you skip one and you do a double, a chain 2 and another double into the same stitch, and then you skip one and you do a double into the next stitch, chain 2 and another double into the same stitch, and then you skip one and you do a double into the next. So the pattern basically is double, chain 2, double into the same stitch, skip a stitch, double, chain 2, double into the next stitch. Right, so I'm just on my last V-stitch. So what we're going to do is skip one, V-stitch in here, and then we're going to chain 2 and do another double in there. And then what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain out of our 5 chains. Now I'm going to change colour because I don't think I have enough to do another round. But if you're not going to change colour, then what you want to do is slip stitch into this space like this so that you're ready to go. But I'm going to change colour, so I am going to fasten off basically. I like to change colour on a whole round because I think it looks more effective on the bag. So I'm going to fasten off just by pulling that through there, and then I'm going to add this colour and I'm going to crochet over that end, so don't worry. If you are changing colour, you can now join your yarn in any V-stitch around, okay? So I'm just going to do it into this one. And to change colour, I literally just poke my hook through the V-stitch, make a loop over my finger with the yarn, pop it on top, pull this under here, then I hold the tail over there and I just chain 1 like that. Now we need to chain 4 more because we always start this row with a chain 5, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5. And now what we're going to do is a double into this V-stitch. And then rather than skipping a stitch, you're just going to use all the V-stitches now. So you're going to do a double, a chain 2 and a double in every single V-stitch around, okay? This is going to be quite big compared to the other one I did, so I imagine it's going to use quite a lot more cotton. So V-stitch just into the next V-stitch you've already done. A V-stitch consists of a double, 2 chains and then another double. So into the next V-stitch we've got a double, 2 chains and a double, and then into the next V-stitch we've got a double, 2 chains and another double, and we just go like this all the way around. And then I will show you what to do at the end of this round, but then it's just a case of repeating this round, okay? So let me get to the end and then I will show you what to do next. Just remember though, in every V-stitch we want a double, 2 chains and then another double. So I'm almost at the end of this V-stitch round. I've got 1 V-stitch in, so remember that's a double, 2 chains and another double. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain, which is this one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, there we go, and then we're going to slip stitch into the V-stitch itself, and then we are going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we're going to do a double into this V-stitch, and then we are going to do a V-stitch into the rest of the V-stitches. So to do a V-stitch, remember it's a double, 2 chains and a double, and we're just going to repeat this round until our bag is the length that we would like it to be, okay, or the depth even. So I am going to come back when the bag is, no actually I'm going to come back when I do a colour change to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to come back when the bag is the depth that I would like it before we start doing the handles, okay? So I'm just at the end of this round. I know that I don't have enough yarn to go around again, so I'm going to stop because otherwise I don't think it looks quite as good. I'm going to go into the third chain and I'm going to do my slip stitch, and then I'm going to snip my yarn and I'm going to pull it through to fasten off, and then I'm going to go to a random, this one here, V-stitch, and I'm going to attach the next colour that I'm going to use. So I'm going to loop it over my finger, and then I'm going to loop it over the hook. I'm going to bring it in front of the chain space. Then I am going to hold this over here and I'm going to crochet over that, and then I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do my double crochet in the same slip stitch, V-stitch, sorry. I'm going to do my double crochet in the same V-stitch, and then I am going to continue my round as I was before, just crocheting over this end. So here it is so far. Now what I need to do, so I've done all my V-stitches with 2 chains in between. Now what we're going to do on the next round, because I am at the length I want it, so the mine's quite wide but quite short, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is slip stitch into my V-stitch, and I'm going to chain 4, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to do my double into here. And now the pattern changes for this round, okay? So on this round we're still only going into the V-stitch, but we're going to do a double and then a chain 1 and then another double, and that's what we're going to do all the way around. So a double, a chain 1 and then another double. Right, so I'm on my last double, chain 1 and double, and then what I'm going to do is slip stitch into the third chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the chain space, and this time we're not going to do a V-stitch, so we're going to chain 3, oops, and then we're going to do a double into the stitch, and then in the next V-stitch we're going to do 2 doubles, and this will just tighten the top of the bag so it's not so loose. And we're going to do 2 doubles in every V-stitch around, okay? So I'm just doing my last double in that V-stitch, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the second chain there, like that. Oh, sorry, let me show you that again. I'm going to slip stitch into the second chain like that, and now what we're going to do is chain 2, and we are going to do a half double crochet in every single stitch. That counts as a half double crochet, so the first one's going to be in here. Let me show you. You're going to wrap, poke, wrap, pull, then you're going to wrap and pull through all 3 loops. So wrap, poke, wrap, pull, wrap, pull through all 3 loops. Wrap, poke, wrap, pull, wrap, pull through all 3, and you're going to do this all the way around this round and for the next round, but I will meet you when we get to the end of this round, okay? So we're going to wrap and poke, wrap and pull, wrap, pull through all 3. And so I'm almost at the end of this round. I'm just going to pop a half double crochet in there and a half double crochet in there, and then we are going to slip stitch to the chain in there, and then we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do another half double crochet all around. So I will remind you, but a half double is a wrap, a poke, a wrap, pull through all 3. I'm going to just do one more round of half double crochet all around, but can you see the top of the bag has like a different pattern? It's really nice. Now I'm approaching the end of this round, and then things change a little bit, okay? So I'm just going to put my last half double into this stitch here, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain. Now what you need to do is work out how many stitches you've got. You need to count how many of these V's you've got. I've got 118. So now what I need to do is, because I want my handles to be directly opposite, I need to divide that by 4, which is about 29/30. So what I'm going to do is I am going to chain 2. Yeah, let's do a half double. I'm going to half double to 29 stitches. So 1, 2. Right, now here is where you need to decide how long you want your handles to be. On my first market bag, I had literally just hand handles. But what you could do is, if you want this one, because this one's quite a lot bigger, you might want shoulder straps. So you might want to make it just a little bit bigger. I'm going to leave that up to you. I think that I'm going to chain 50 and see how long that is, and then make a decision. Remember, a chain is literally a wrap and pull. Now if I leave it at 50, that's not going to be long enough for a shoulder strap either. So I'm going to do another 50. Now, I think that is now going to be long enough for a shoulder. So we're going to go with it. But now, because we're dividing the bag into quarters, what we need to do is skip 29 stitches. Okay, so from where your chain starts, you're going to skip 29. And then I'm going to do this in the 30th. I'm going to do a half double. So I've wrapped, poked, pulled. I'm going to hold that down there just to help me out, and then I'm going to wrap and pull through all 3. So now I'm going to do 29 more half double crochets until I get to my next handle. Okay, so I'll see you when I get to the next handle. And 29, and then because I chained 100 for the handle on the other side, I need to chain 100 for the handle on this side. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, just chain 100. And now, like we did on the other side, we're going to skip 29 stitches. Okay, so, and then we're going to half double into the next stitch, which is in there. Remember, hold that down as tight as you can, because it becomes a bit of a pickle. And then try your best to get it through that loop. I've done it a little bit too tight. Just keep wiggling it, though, it will work. There you go. And then we've got one more half double in there, and then we're back to the start of the round. So we're going to slip stitch into this stitch here, or try, there we go. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do 2 chains, and we are going to half double in every stitch along, and I will show you what to do when we get to the handles. When you get to the handle, you have a choice. You can either go through the foundation stitches, you can either go through the chain stitches, or you can go over the chain. I usually go over the chain because it's a lot easier, but it's completely up to you how you do it. So I'm almost at the handle. And like I said, you can either go through every every chain, sorry, like this, or you can go round the chain like this. I go round the chain because going through every single chain annoys me, but it's completely up to you. And I try and match it, so there's 100 chains, so I try and do roughly 100 stitches. Doesn't always work out, sometimes you need a few more if you're going around the chain, but just work out whatever's best and whatever looks good. I've just had to add a new colour, so we've got 97. I'm just gonna crochet over these two ends. So that's 97, 98, 99 and 100. Now as you can see, I've got a little bit of the chain left here. I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do is pinch that, and I'm going to pull these down until my chain disappears. I am going to rejoin with a half double in the stitch next to my handle, which is there. And then I'm going to do half doubles all the way around to the next handle. And then I'm going to do, so I did 100 on my handle, on my chain. So when I get to the next handle, I'm going to do 100 again. And then when I get to the end of this row, I will show you what to do on the next one, okay? So I'm just getting to the end of this round, just finished that handle as you can probably see, and I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch there. Well, I'm going to try into that stitch there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2, and in every single stitch around, including this one, we are going to do a half double crochet. So all the stitches on the handles will now get a half double crochet, and this is the point where you can decide how many more rounds you want to do. It depends how thick you want your handles. I am going to continue and decide how many rounds I'm going to do, and then I'm going to come back to you at the end of the final product, okay? But what we're going to do first, I'm just going to show you on the handles what it should look like, and then yeah, then I'll come back to you with the finished product. But you'll see it will be easier on the handles this time because we're not working into a chain, we're working into stitches, and it's so much easier to work into stitches. And the top of the bag is getting a nice tight texture to keep everything that you buy at the market in, if that's what you're going to do with your market bag. I think I might just use mine as a project bag, I've decided. When I come back, I will show you how to tie in the ends. The most important one is the one from the magic ring on the inside, but I will show you, so do not worry. And look, we're almost on the handle, and as you can see, it's going to be so easy to just follow the stitches around the handle. There we go. So now we are on the handle, and we're just basically putting a half double crochet in every single stitch around. You can decide how many rows of this you want. When you get to the end of a row, make sure you slip stitch and chain 2 before you start your next one. And yeah, let's see what it looks like at the end. So I am on my last half double crochet of this round. This is the last round I'm doing because I feel that the handles are now wide enough. I'm just going to do a slip stitch, then I'm going to snip my yarn, and then I'm going to pull my tail through the hoop on the hook. Then what we're going to do is turn the bag inside out, because this here has to be sewn in, otherwise you're going to put things in your bag and the gap's going to get wide when you're going to be losing things. So I'm going to thread my needle, and then I'm going to follow this round. Okay, so I'm going to go through here, like so, and then I'm going to go back the other way. But what I'm going to do is leave this stitch as an anchor so that the whole thing doesn't come back this way, and I'm going to go back the other way just to make sure it's extra secure. and I'm going to go round there as well. The more of the tail you can sew in, the more secure it is. And then I'm going to use this one as an anchor here, and I'm going to go back the other way, and that's the last pass I will do. And then what you need to do is go around and just sew in all your ends. So next end I'm going to do is, where's it gone? This one here. These ones are sort of the easiest ones, if I'm honest. And then with this one, I'm going to go down through there, through that bit there, and then I'm going to go through the stitches at the bottom, because it'll be quite hidden through here. Like that. And then I'm going to use this stitch as an anchor, and I'm going to go back the other way. But that is literally all you have to do to sew in your ends. I don't know how many you've got. I've got quite a lot because I've changed colours quite a lot. But once you've done that, that's your market bag finished.